In the depths of Nephilia, he began his tale. A rebel soul who dared to challenge the veil.
Thanks for tuning in to Tibalt's Apprentice. Please bear with this video. It will be running at various speeds. However, that is for your convenience. Right now, I've gone back to doing this double speed just because, yeah, for the sake of, for your time and mine. Anyhow, so this is adding more mana to the mana pool so that I can cast as quickly as I can. If you recognize the Putrid Imp, you probably know what's coming. You see that Altar of Dementia, you gotta know what's happening. Taking a lead from the real world, I like the idea of sacking and getting some value out of it, but this is a historic deck. So instead of just cashing in on once a life and getting something out of it, by the time I'm done with this video and this deck, it's going to be swapped out for something else. So I don't mind them drawing cards. I've got the majority of my combo on board here. The Thran Vigil and the Putrid Goblin are the final pieces of the combo. Now, not every game you're going to see here is a winner, and that's okay. I figured it might be interesting to see how this deck actually works and performs and what's happening as it's being built. So this comes back because of Persist. Thran Vigil gives it a +1 counter. It cancels out the minus counter, and you just sack over and over. And as you may have noticed, the thing picks up a lot of speed right now because you don't need to sit here for 12 minutes while I just cycle through this. So you got to be patient, and so is the enemy at this point. You saw him say nice, and I absolutely 100% respect this guy for not spamming me with it's your turn, it's your turn, it's your turn. As a matter of fact, I respect him so much, you'll see me get him all the way down to 2 cards. And while you're watching it happen, I was going to say spoiler, but I just quit. Because it's not about winning, it's about building this deck right now. And I have, again, much respect for this guy hanging out to the bitter end. You'll see this happen a couple of times. This is a work in progress. I'm not worried about climbing the ladder these days. So I'm interested in making decks and efficient strategies. So this guy was patient, sat there the whole time. Like I said, didn't bother spamming me. So I figured I could just reward him with a win. If it's up to me to reward him, I mean. But yeah, I guess it was because I clearly came right down to the very end here. You see the timer going. You see me slowing down here, and it's like, nah, dude, you absolutely deserve this win just for hanging out, and I appreciate you. So, having said that, we're gonna go ahead, give him a turn, let him do what he's gonna do, and then goes back to my turn, and the majority of his deck is gone. And look at how big his deck was. It was a massive deck to start with, but if you don't play single targeted removal, you're losing out. You're gonna lose to this deck anyway. So draw some cards, that's fine. And I think this deck could probably still use a Village Rite. I'm saying this even after playing and playtesting and swapping some things out. One of the important things to do, we're going to speed up here again, is this creature must be lost and brought back from the graveyard on your turn. You'll see in one of the later games that I play, I made that mistake. Forgot the fact that it must be on your turn to get that bonus counter. Otherwise, the Putrid Goblin does come back, does have his -1/-1, and cannot be sacked again. I don't have anything that gets rid of counters. I don't think there is anything. If you think of it, leave it in the comment below. Anything that gets rid of counters. I know there is a Solemnity, which prevents counters from being put on things. But we're trying to go Gruul colors. We're trying to go just Golgari rather colors. It just go black and green and lean into that and make it as fast and as lean as possible so that it works. That's what we're going for. Yep, I'm out of here. Thank you, dude, for hanging out and not going ahead and spamming me, even though I absolutely probably deserved it. We're going to move on to another game now. I'm going to take a look at this and see what happens. Forgive me for indulging in my coffee there for a moment. All right, so again, we have better. This is why I'm playing this in historic as opposed to doing something in standard. I don't like the limitations of standard. That limitation allowing me only the latest cards. Like this is something that came to me from standard. I'm reading it right now because it's like, I'm only going to get it one instance of this, and this isn't enough. I'd be better off using a Blood Artist. Anyhow, going back to the standard versus historic. I only play standard when given a reason to by somebody else. The limited card pool just doesn't suit my playstyle very well. Having said that, I know that historic can be super frustrating, and maybe you're a new player that doesn't have access to all these cards. And so with that in mind, I absolutely respect that, and that's why I'm trying to do more things in standard. This is not how I intended to use this. I planned on using that zombie to give me a treasure counter, but I figure I'm feeling ahead of the game, especially after the last game, feeling rather full of myself. Not too scared of the blue player. I think I can outmatch him for tempo. So I didn't mind knocking out his creature. And if he had done more holding up, more removal, but I have a feeling he's going the unblockable route and maybe going with curiosity and possibly going to try to stop me that way. Okay, yeah, so he's got some flash speed cards, a little bit of card draw, no problem. I think I can handle all that. Now, a couple of these games, they absolutely get out of control, but something like this, man, I love this interaction right now. I get to sack that, get it back, get the cards that I want, put a counter on there. Sure, do that. He's not doing a counter spell, so I appreciate that. There's no real way of him stopping the interaction once this starts. This is the final piece of my puzzle. If he counters that, which he doesn't, it's game over, man. Just that easy. Again, I've got to make sure that it's priority, it's my turn, that I can do this. You'll see another game later on where priority is absolutely important while they have interactions. And this is something you don't get as a new player. You don't get to really understand the rules. You don't necessarily get them demonstrated to you. And so it can be hard when you go into a paper game and play this. But maybe only play an arena. So there's that. So what am I thinking about? I'm thinking it's time to update some of these cards. So we're going to punch it in and see what we can do here. Now it helps if I spell things correctly. But yeah, let's narrow the field a little bit and do a little bit of tweaking with this deck. We're going to go to the black cards, and that Blood Artist is going to give me a trigger every time something goes to the graveyard. Theirs or mine. And that's just more value than that single. I understand that's their way of limiting the cards going forward by putting an instance of this only happens once per turn. I appreciate that from the standpoint of the power creep is real and is getting away with things, but by the same token, things that it feels limiting, but we need those limitations. They can't put the genie back in the bottle as far as it goes, as far as power creep, but this is a way of tapering it off and bringing it back down. So I appreciate that. I'm not getting enough value out of that. Let's swap that out and let's go for a lower value. So by making this deck as low to the ground and as easy to run, we definitely want. That's what we want. We want this to be fast and efficient. That's what we're looking for. It's not a silver bullet. It's not a magic. Well, it is a magic deck, isn't it? It's not magical, though. It's not made to. There are going to be bad matchups. It's not going to like kill everything out there. But if you can get this off fast enough, I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna do some stuff. Being able to get the -1 or the treasure token, I can sack this right away. Get rid of their card. I should have, in a different matchup, a different game, I would have gone for the treasure token. But I know that I've got enough land and I know that I'm low enough to the ground. Really, all I need to do now is to make sure that I've got the Thran Vigil. All I need to do is get the Putrid Goblin, and I'm good. So, let's drop this. Let's get this on board. Now, at any point, we can drop our Putrid Goblin. We're doing okay. We're not going to get much out of the Prosperous Innkeeper, but that dropping a single treasure token when he comes in is enough to keep me on track as far as mana goes. I'm actually going to do this just to draw a card. I probably shouldn't even put those back in. Let's do this, and we have plenty of mana. So let's do this, put this down. Now we can attach this to our forest. Having a little bit of a problem with the mana base. If anybody's watching this and sees or can suggest something with a mana base, maybe there's a card out there that I'm not using, something that has a duplicate as a forest. Man, they are getting a lot of triggers off of that. Yeah, this game, while I was feeling very confident at the beginning of it, my confidence is absolutely starting to wane as I am not drawing that Putrid Goblin. There's a chance, though. I'm going to go ahead and sack this, and I think I've already made up my mind that this game, is going in the bin because they're just going too wide, too fast, taking too much damage. There's no way to recover from this. I thought about throwing in some kind of removal, some kind of mass removal, but no, I don't have it in there yet. And if I start leaning in too many different directions, this deck isn't going to work. It needs to stay focused and efficient. And I personally need to accept that not every deck is going to work against every other deck. There are going to be exceptions. There's going to be bad matchups. I ran out of gas in that, so now I'm thinking I need to have some card draw. The easiest, the most efficient card draw I can think of in this deck without changing much is by adding that land. By adding that land, I will take some damage, but, black is all about that, right? Power at any expense, even at the expense of your own life total. Life is a resource after all, right? Thank you for hanging out this long and watching this much of the video. I can't believe you're still here. I appreciate that, though. And I'm hoping to bring more quality content, more arena content like this later. Like I said, this deck and this interaction is not necessarily new, but I am bringing it back out after not seeing it for a while. Adding some of these newer cards to it, I think is fun. I think it's interactive. Being able to drop this, get a token, having that enchantment, that Utopia Sprawl, or whatever it is that's giving me the extra mana is good. I'm experimenting, still trying to find the best way to make mana because I do know that I have enchantments. Throwing this down, I feel, is going to give me protection from targeted removal, because if they've got that coming, that's bad. You also see the Dryad in there that will give me more mana based on the amount of enchantments that I have. Since I am enchanting lands, and I do have the Thran Vigil, that's going to give me a couple of mana. I think in the end, though, I am probably not gaining enough, and I'm slowing down and trying to do too many things. So, with that in mind, oh, that was rude. Well, luckily I have another spell that I wanted to cast, and they're out of mana. It's absolutely about getting ahead of the curve. I didn't like that either. But because I am playing Historic, I can draw and look for the cards I need. These are the final two pieces, and I think as long as they don't have removal, as long as I don't have artifact or enchantment hate, we're doing okay. I'm going to bring this into my hand just in case, just to see if I can get away with it. They've showed that they can counter. Boom, it's done. This is the stack right here. So watch what happens. I start my combo. They are going to try to interact with it. Because of those way speed things are happening, I just went ahead and sped it up here. They try to cast their Wandering Emperor to get rid of my tapped creature. But since I have priority, it's my turn. In response, I can respond to that. I can make them go through their entire deck and sack everything, just mill everything. Gaea's Blessing obviously is the enemy, the bane of this deck's existence. But I'm just going to let all this happen. And I forgot now. I'm actually interested to see too. Do they get a chance to cast their Wandering Emperor? If they do, it might interrupt my scenario. But that was the whole reason why I pulled another Putrid Goblin out into my hand. Because I may run out of time, or I may slip up on the interactions here. Again, try to do this quad speed just so as not to bore you. We're getting pretty close to having that Wandering Emperor come out. So I probably would do, if I did my shortcuts, I might go faster, but I also don't want to make a mistake and hit the wrong thing in the wrong order. So we're getting down to the end of it, and with this, I think I have no choice but to allow them to cast it because I ran out of time. So the Wandering Emperor hits the battlefield. They're going to kill my imp and get a turn of their own, except they have no cards to draw. Anyhow, that was the deck. That's how it went. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Right now, we're going to take a quick look at the deck. Everything's in it as it exists. Now, the list that you're going to see in the show notes is not going to be the same as this. Utopia Sprawl, this is not as big a payoff because, again, it's Arena and they've nerfed it. Those two cards right there, this gets stuff back when it goes to the graveyard. I already explained why those are in there. And, yeah, trying to get more mana out of it so I can cast this. I don't think I want to go that direction. I think I want to go with more Prosperous Innkeepers. Super low casting cost, only 2 mana. Yeah, so that's it. So have fun. And thanks for watching. Catch you next time. There will be a follow-up video to this one as well as bonus content. So come on back for that.